This series begins with a 23-year-old boy called Scott Pilgrim waking up from a dream. For you to know, there is this young beautiful girl he normally sees in his dreams on rollerblades, going around at very fast speeds around him. He has had the dream so many times and his wish is to meet this girl, the girl of his dreams, even though there is no confirmation of her existence in reality. He stays with his gay roommate Wallace Wells, who's so tired of him and complains on how he crashed at his house one time and never left. Scott doesn't own any stuff in the room apart from his dirty clothes. He's not entirely useless though, as he belongs to a music band called the Sex Bob O&B. Out of 1,000 people in the town, just only 2 persons are fans of their music. One of them is Scott's supportive girlfriend called Knives Chaw, but funny enough, their relationship isn't a romantic one. No one has ever seen them kiss. The only thing they have done so far is holding hands. After their band session that evening, Scott follows his friends to a party that he wasn't invited to. It's there a young girl with colored hair catches his attention. The girl was that beautiful girl Scott saw in his dreams, and most definitely must have a conversation with her. Everything goes extremely weird mainly because of his shyness, but fortunately for him, he bumps into the host of the party, Julie, who happens to know everything about the girl of his dreams. Her name is Ramona Flowers, an American who moved here recently, and to Scott's happiness, she's single. Ramona works as a delivery person for Netflix, a movie rental service sending out DVDs to customers. In order to get to meet Ramona again, Scott orders a DVD from Netflix hoping Ramona will deliver it at his doorsteps. After 2 days of sitting and waiting, Ramona finally shows up with Scott's rented DVD. He opens up on how he normally sees her in his dreams. Everything just seemed awkward for the moment until after Ramona agrees to go on a date with him. She begins to like him, not only because he's funny or cute, but he's the most interesting person she has ever met. She takes him to his apartment where they both kiss, but later change her mind on having sex with him when he wasn't sure he's ready. Meanwhile, Gideon, the leader of a secret organization called League of the Evil Exes, appears to have been spying on them for a while. He gives Ramona first evil ex-boyfriend Matthew a mission to kill Scott, which you will find out the reason later. After sleeping over in Ramona's apartment, Scott invites her to his band performance the next day, but he doesn't realize the problem he just created for himself, only after his roommate reminded him. Knives Chaw is still officially his girlfriend, and he is going to find it really hard to break up with her, especially how supportive she is to him. Knives Chaw and Ramona attends his band celebration, and it's here things started to go really wrong. During the performance, a guy crashes into the building to fight Scott. He is Matthew Patel, Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend. He explains to the confused Scott that Ramona has 7 evil ex-partners in her life, called Lucas Lee, Kyle Katayanagi, Ken Katayanagi, Todd Ingram, Roxy Richer, and Gideon Graves. They all came together to start an organization called the League of Evil Exes, with a main goal to take down any new partner she gets. If Scott wants to date Ramona, he has to defeat all 7 of them. Patel was Ramona's first ex-boyfriend in high school. The two got into a relationship because they were unable to fit in like the others. To cut the long story short, Patel begins a video game-like fight with Scott and defeated him. No one saw Scott again, and all assumes he was killed. What surprises us is even though Scott might seem like an idiot, this guy once dated the most famous celebrity. During Scott's burial, where Knives Chaw blames Ramona for being the cause of his death, things gets more dramatic when a celebrity shows up at the ceremony. She is Enthey Adams, Scott's ex-girlfriend. She sings a farewell song to him which touches the hearts of the attendees. On the other hand, a secret letter is being sent to all Ramona evil exes inviting them for a meeting. While the League leader Gideon is curious to know the mysterious person behind this invitation, Patel shows up revealing to be the one who sent the letters. One thing you should understand is when Gideon created the League of Evil X, he gave them a deal of getting to date Ramona again only after being the first to take down her newest boyfriend. This is why Patel is angry because even after defeating Scott, Ramona still turned him down. The members of the League realizes that Gideon was only using them. His initial plan was them to do the fighting while he be the one to get the girl. This is unacceptable to Patel, who challenges Gideon to a fight. If Patel wins, he gets to take everything Gideon owns, including his cars, music studio, house, and he will even get to become the new leader of the League of Evil Exes. But if Gideon wins, Patel will have to die. Their fight is a really tough one which lasted for hours, but eventually, Patel defeated Gideon, who was given no choice but to pass on to the ownership of everything to him. Meanwhile, Ramona meets Julie at her coffee shop and narrates how she heard a voice of Scott in her dreams, which is a sign that Scott is still alive. She had even checked the security footage of the club where the fight between Patel and Scott had taken place. It seemed like someone grabbed him and pulled him into a portal, and that mysterious person wants them to think he's dead. It is clear to us that Ramona has feelings for Scott, as he is the only one that has put in a smile on a face in a while. She is ready to do anything to find him. Julie gives Ramona details about everybody Scott knows in his life, but it's obvious that none of them are the mastermind behind his kidnapping because they are actually too dumb for this. Ramona turns her suspicions to her 7 evil exes and begins to investigate about them. Patel was the one fighting Scott, so he's out of the list. Roxy was the only female ex Ramona dated. They both met in high school, and due to they had a lot of things in common, they both fell in love. But after a month, Ramona got scared for a reason unknown to us and left Roxy without saying a word to her. She hated Ramona for that and joined the League of Evil Exes. Roxy, after seeing Ramona again, fights her, but forgives Ramona after she apologizes. Anyway, Roxy doesn't antagonize Scott in any way, which makes her out of the suspect list. Next is Ramona's second ex-boyfriend called Lucas Lee, a guy so obsessed with himself with a brain the size of a peanut. The only thing he knows how to do is skateboarding and doing dangerous stunts. But this talent gave him a job at Hollywood, and he became a movie star. But due to he's stupid as hell, Ramona removes Lucas from the suspect list. After a while, Ramona witnesses a portal open and she sees her 4th ex Todd Ingram coming out of it. She discovers he can create portals, so he becomes a prime suspect because Scott was kidnapped through a portal. Todd is a talented guitarist who is currently dating the celebrity Eddie Adams. The couples are not just musicians but also famous actors, so it is just impossible for her to meet Todd privately because of the securities. Anyway, to get closer to him, she applies for the stunt double job, which she got accepted into. From there, she finally gets the chance to meet Todd and realizes that Todd does not have a hand in this because his portal isn't as strong as the one that kidnapped Scott. Do you guys still remember Gideon Graves? The former leader of the League of Exes who lost everything after losing the fight to Patel. He came across Julie, an old friend of his in high school. He is happy to see that someone still remembered his real name, which wasn't Gideon, but Gordon Goose. Everyone has turned their backs on him, but Julie, who understood what he went through in his past, takes him in, and they both fall in love. Gideon is the next person on Ramona's suspect list, so she spends the whole day with Julie since she knows about Gideon more than anyone else. Julie tells Ramona a backstory when Gideon was the weirdest kid in her class. His glasses were too big for his face, and even his clothes were oversized. The students calls him fearless due to he wears the No Fear t-shirt every day, and that really got into his head. He fearlessly asked out the most popular girl in school, but his confidence was crushed when she rejected him, and how everyone laughed and mocked him. Ramona states that during the time she dated Gideon that he was this impulsive, emotional, abusive, manipulating egomaniac. Julie smiles and clears out to Ramona that Gideon is a different person now. When Gideon showed up at her apartment after losing everything, he was power-hungry. He wanted revenge and would have done everything to get his empire back. But after a few days in her house, it's like the evil in him drained out. So did Gideon kidnap Scott? No. It didn't look like it, as all he does now is sit on her couch and watch cartoons all day. In case you don't know, Lucas had paid a visit to Gideon apologizing for turning his back on him. Gordon forgave him, and now they are best friends. Anyway, Julie invites Ramona to her apartment, as Gideon would love to apologize to her for creating the League of Evil Exes and all that. After she returns home, Julie is furious at the mess Gideon created after she was only gone for 90 minutes. A robot is seen in her apartment who flees by smashing its way through the window. Julie prepares to unleash her anger on Gideon and Lucas until Ramona calms the situation. She tells Lucas to return home, but the latter reveals he's now broke because no one wants to give him a role anymore since the movies he has done so far are flop. As for Gideon, Ramona advises him to stop being a loser and treat Julie better than he treated her. That robot that escaped from the apartment Julie showed up, Ramona seems to be familiar with it but don't remember where. She finds out from Lucas that it was the twins that created the robot. Immediately she calls a meeting among Scott friends after her research and reveals that she finally knows the person that kidnapped Scott. She removes the names of her 5 ex-boyfriends Patel, Roxy, Gideon, Todd, and Lucas from her suspect list. Her last 2 exes she hadn't interrogated yet are the Katayanagi twins, Ken and Kyle. Why would the twins kidnap Scott? Ramona believes it's because they have the motivation. During her second semester college when she didn't know what she was doing, that was when she met the twins who had no real feelings for her but were just using her to flex. But she played them back as revenge. There is something you must know. People who don't eat meat in this world can have the abilities to create portals just like Renoma vegan ex-boyfriend Todd. She believes the twins created a vegan robot and used it to create a portal that kidnapped Scott. Ramona shows the mystery solver's video footage of the robot spying on her every activities, and it was even present before and after Scott was kidnapped. They all prepare themselves to find the twins, but a knock on the door gets their attention. When Ramona opens the door, she and the mystery solvers are shocked to see it's no other person but Scott. He tells them that all their theories are right, but reveals something more shocking. A mysterious person in mask was the one who pulled him into a portal and took him to the future. The person unmasks himself, and Scott is shocked to see it's the future version of himself. The Scott Pilgrim from the future didn't want his past version to win the battle with Matthew Patel. He states that it would have been the biggest mistake of his life, because after defeating all Ramona's exes, the future Scott got married to her. They were happy for a few years, but Ramona shattered his heart to pieces by divorcing him. Wallace is still Scott's roommate in the future, and he once made a joke about Scott going to the past to stop himself from dating Ramona, which old Scott took seriously. With the assistance of the Katay and Aju twins, who are now his bandmate, the old Scott was able to invent a time machine with the help of the robot made by the twins, which he used to pick Scott from the past. Ramona theory was right after all. Old Scott tries to persuade his younger self that his marriage with Ramona didn't work out no matter how he tried, and that the woman was, therefore, not the right person for them. In order to avoid all the terrible heartbreak and sorrow due to the separation, old Scott wants his younger self to never date Ramona at all. Younger Scott doesn't see this as the best solution and goes to pay a visit to the Ramona of this timeline, and to his surprise, the older Ramona also has access to time traveling. Unlike old Scott, this older Ramona did not want to totally erase their love story from existence, despite their current separation, and so she had come up with a plan to stop old Scott's stupid idea. There is this guy called young Neil, who wrote a book about the love story of Ramona years back, so the older Ramona took this book and transformed it into a script for a movie, knowing well that Scott never reads books. She took the script to the past and places it on young Neil's computer to make sure that a movie would be made with it, and Scott would learn about his relationship with Ramona through it. Through the robot who showed him everything while he was gone, Scott tells the older Ramona how the younger Ramona kept searching for him because she really loves him, which means their relationship can really work out. To his appeal, the older Ramona takes Scott to his original timeline to fix things himself. Firstly, Scott breaks up with Nightshaw before expressing his true feelings to Ramona. But they realize something is wrong because they were unable to kiss or get close to each other due to a strange physical force stopping them. Scott believes it to evil exes of Ramona to be the cause, but after meeting each of them one-on-one to try and fight them, he realizes none of them had a hand in this. But the truth is about to be discovered when Scott, his friends, and Ramona evil exes are taken to a strange timeline. The group were confronted by an even older Scott who was 47 years. He is the main villain and was the one that created the force field to prevent Scott and Ramona from being together. The old Scott had a backup plan in case Scott refused to his first plan of dumping Ramona in the original timeline. He has placed a nanomachine in his drink that would forever create a forced field between the two lovers. But the old Scott must still have to kill his younger self to make sure there is no chance for him and Ramona to date again. During the final battle, the older Ramona suddenly shows up and reveals that she didn't really break up with the older Scott and still loved him, but she only needed space. He blames him for not even trying to reach out to her after they had one big fight. On the other side, the man from the future talks about how Ramona always ran away from love. Let me explain. Ramona always had a tendency to abandon and run away from people she loved, which what led to the breakup of all her exes. She realizes her mistakes of fleeing from all her ex-partners, which had turned them evil, cannot decide her present. The show ends as Ramona merges with the older Ramona and formed a super Ramona. She uses her powers to take even older Scott to his timeline and then terminates the force field by kissing Scott. Sparks fly like before, and the couple returns to the present time, where they just finished watching the musical theater with all their recently made self-realizations. Scott and Ramona finally kiss and decide to be a couple from here on. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.